All right, what's going on? Welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be talking all about trading plans. Now, a trading plan is pretty much the trading system. So you already know it. Now you just got to put it on paper, right? A trading plan is specific to you. So there are customizations within the trading system. Almost every single part of the trading system can actually be customized, right? So the trading plan is the final version that is customized for you. It's your trading plan, right? Um, so let's get right into it. I have my points here, and we're going to start with the quote. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Crafting your trading blueprint, craft your trading blueprint meticulously, right? So I talk about this a lot with people, with traders, whenever I work with somebody one on one. And we are in a process of building their trading plan. There's quite a few things that one needs to think about because a lot of times when the first conversation that I might have with a trader is the trader's kind of all over the place. It's fucking chaos, you know? Literally, he wants to do this, he wants to do this, they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do everything, they want to hit everything, they want to hit, like, it's just chaos, right? And what happens is when you're not focused, when you're not narrowing your focus on a very specific trading plan, a very specific goal, right? If you're in that place where you want to do everything, or multiple things at once, or you just don't know and it's all chaos, right? Then your results are going to be chaos, right? You're going to be asking yourself, like, I just want to be consistent. I just want to be consistent. I just want to be consistent. But you can't because it's all chaos, right? So the goal of a trading plan is building your own system so that you're eliminating that chaos and you're getting hyper focused on one step at a time, right? You know, as the trading system is literally one step at a time. Starts with a goal, then we pick our trading style, right? Pick our markets, and then we go into idea generation, analysis, execution, risk removal, management, profit management, journaling, performance review, do a reset, start it all again, right? It's all steps, right? Well, that's what a trading plan is. It's all steps. It's that system. But that system customized for you is your trading plan, right? So we need to get specific, extremely specific. I don't think you need to be doing 2 plans, 3 plans, 4 plans. I think everybody could be doing just one. It should probably be doing just one, you know, from a focus perspective. So let's dive into it. Let me go through these points real quick, and then I'm going to go into it with a little bit more detail. So a personalized trading plan is essential for consistent success. This lesson guides you through creating a comprehensive plan tailored to your goals and style. Main points: define your trading objectives, right? So we gotta know our goals. What are we aiming for? What do we want to achieve through trading, right? And in what time frame? What do we want to be in 10 years, 3 years, 1 year, 1 year, 3 months away? What do we need to hit this month or this week in order to make all of that happen, right? Because it's daily action. It's beautiful day. It's perfect days that turn into beautiful weeks, that turn into gorgeous months, that turn into amazing quarters and magnificent years. You know, starts with the day. But we got to know what we're aiming for. What is in that 1 year, 3 year, 10-year mark, right? And kind of reverse engineer it down to what do we need to be doing today or this week or this month, right? So define your trading objectives. 2, establish rules and guidelines. And that's pretty much the rest of the trading system, right? Where we need to have clear criteria for trade entries, exits, risk management, and all that stuff, right? And that's the rest of the trading system. And incorporate strategies, right? So include the specific trading strategies that you're going to employ. Not everybody trades all strategies, right? Uh, some will just do ABOs, literally. You know, some will just do IBOs and CBOs, maybe WTFs. You know, some will focus on CBOs, or some will just focus on ACBs, right? So you don't have to do it all. It's nice to know it all, but again, it's about getting very specific in what it is that you actually want to do, right? So, conclusion, a well thought out trading plan is your roadmap to achieving your financial goals through disciplined trading. Action step. Action step. Draft your trading plan, ensuring it covers all critical components discussed. Okay. So, let's go straight to the action step. I'm going to help you out a little bit. What you're pretty much going to do now, or soon, or shortly after watching this lesson, the trading system starts up there with the primary goal. And it pretty much looks like this, right? So that's our trading system. And these lesson topics, these lesson titles, are pretty much the headings of your trading plan. So now create yourself a document, whatever document, however you want to write it, on a piece of paper, in notes, PowerPoint, with slides, whatever you want. I like to keep it simple, just in notes on my Mac. But create your headings, right? So primary goal, trading style, market, peak performance routine, idea generation, analysis, execution, management, journaling, performance review. You reset and repeat. Okay, just put those as headings. And now, under those headings, this is kind of where you want to do maybe a few key points, maybe some rules, right? Maybe a paragraph or a sentence that resonates. Make it custom to you, right? So however you want to draft it, but again, use a template. So sometimes think of like an introduction, a 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines of the key point for that heading, primary goal, with maybe some points, maybe a conclusion, right? So primary goal. Again, we want to think in monetary terms, right? Potentially, you don't have to. Primary goal can be quit your job. It can be something else, but it's always easier to kind of think about it in monetary ways, for me at least. So primary goal, 100K or 1 million or 10 million, right? And why? Right? Give yourself a why. So the purpose of this trading plan is to build a $10 million trading portfolio within the next 10 years by focusing on these key segments. 3 years, 1 year, next quarter, as an example. So it's like draft the primary goal however you want to write it, but again, I'm just kind of giving a random example. Make it your own, right? Go listen to the lesson again, right? Draft some notes from the lesson, some key points, some key findings, right? And then just write your own, all right? Your own goals, all right? Then when you move on to the trading style right after, make sure that the trading style that you choose, right? Again, you're specific. We have quite a few trading styles. You can be a swing trader, you can be a day trader, you can be swing trading on the monthly time frame, you can be swing trading on the weekly time frame, or you can be day trading on the daily or the 4 hour or the 1 hour. Get specific, you know, for your base, and this is for your base plan. For your base plan, I don't think you should be like, I'm going to be swing trading and I'm going to be doing day trading. I'm going to be swing trading the daily. I'm going to be doing day trading on 4 hour. Get specific. Focus on one thing. Master one thing. You know, kind of thing. At least that's how I like to approach it. I like it from I like to approach it my trading plan more from a simplistic perspective. I want to put all my attention on one thing, right? But sometimes, hey, you could be doing two things. So build two trading plans. Build your day trading plan and build your swing trading plan. And whenever I'm doing two things, I call it multi-personality. When I'm day trading and swing trading, I like to keep things totally separate. Here's my day trading plan. Here's my swing trading plan. Here's my day trading account. Here's my swing trading account. I don't mix them much, you know? So, and again, I think I approach that from a peak performance perspective so that I know that first, my base plan, I can execute it perfectly. And if I'm adding another plan, I need to make sure that I can execute it perfectly too, right? It's going to add more work. Dual personalities, two plans is now double the work potentially, right? So just make sure that if you're doing dual plans, day trading and swing trading, that you can actually do it perfectly, that you have the time and the resources, you know, and the energy and the focus, you know. Most people with a 9 to 5 on top of that shouldn't even, in my opinion, shouldn't even try. They should just focus on one thing, you know. But hey, maybe you feel like you can. Great, go for it, you know. But the whole thing is like when you're thinking of the trading style, again, this is one plan. Make it specific. So swing trading, weekly time frame. Discretionary or systematic? Oh, that's an interesting one. Right? But trading style, from a simplicity perspective, day trading, day trading, weekly layout. Or sorry, swing trading, weekly layout. Swing trading, monthly layout. Or day trading, daily layout. Or day trading, 4 hour. Or day trading, 1 hour. Right? Now pick your style, swing or day, pick your time frames. That's what's under the trading style. Swing trader, these are my time frames. I mean, now I dropped the topic, discretionary or systematic. I started as a somewhat discretionary trader, ended up purely systematic. You know, now everything that I do, I can put it into a system, into an algorithm, and just run it. You know, I prefer to do it myself. But everything that I do is very systemized. It's very black and white. You know, it's if this happens, move on to this step and do it in this way. And if that happens, move on to this step and do it in this way. It's very systemized. It's the same every single time, you know, literally every single time for every single part of my trading system, right? Even how I generate ideas, how I pick my top, how from the execution to the risk removal to profit management, it's all systemized. I am very systemized. And I like it like that. You know, some people, when it comes to a trading style, like to be a little bit more discretionary, you know, a little bit looser on some criteria, right? And that tends to work with some people, right? So you got to kind of find where you lay. I started as a discretionary trader. I know discretionary trading, right? It's like these pretty much you're looking at a chart and you've really kind of like trying to identify any type of good run or pullback, not necessarily IBO, CBO, ACB, you know, but any, right? And sometimes when I'm running live webinars or whatever, like, yeah, I do see discretionary trades all the time. I'm like, that's a nice discretionary setup, you know, but I tend to focus on my systemized approaches, right? Because the discretionary stuff happens sometimes, right? But it's up to you, right? But just know that if under a trading style, pick just right, systemized or discretionary, you know, and because that is kind of like the backbone of everything else that you do, from an idea generation to analysis to execution to management. If it's systemized, it's by the fucking book, the same every single time. If it's discretionary, you're using your judgment a little bit. A lot of people think that they're systemized on idea generation when they're actually very discretionary. And what I mean by that. So let's continue. Choosing your market. I'll continue on that when we get to idea generation. But choosing a market, pick your market. Are you doing stocks? Are you doing equities? Are you doing a forex? Are you doing commodities? Even put your list, your ticker list into here. Peak performance, right? Now that you have a goal, you have a trading style, you picked your market, now you build your peak performance routine so that you make sure that within your day-to-day, you can actually execute this plan flawlessly, perfectly, that you're available when you should be. Build your peak performance routine. Plot your meditations if you want to meditate. Plot your fitness routines if that's part of your peak performance routine. Build your peak performance routine, whatever it looks like for you. Some people are going to be like ice bath, sauna, workout, meditate, deep breathing. Some people might be a little bit of movement plus a meditation. For some people, it might be wake up, sit down, have a coffee, read a fucking book. For some people, it might be something totally different. For some people, it might be wake up and get right on the fucking charts of my coffee. There's many ways to do peak performance. Many ways. But this is one where you might have to experiment with this a little bit. Specifically when you go full time, you're going to have to experiment with your peak performance routines a little bit too. Because you're now going to have all this extra time. So, yeah, that one you experiment a little bit. But again, it's custom. Build it custom for you. Now, when we get into idea generation, for me, it's kind of simple. Again, I'm systemized trader, so idea generation for me is simple. I look for something very specific. I focus on the concept of a run is a trend and a trend is a run. So I'm looking for reversal points in the market where a pullback is going to end and a new run is going to begin. And then old trend's going to end and a new trend is going to begin. I'm looking at these reversal points. That's what I'm trying to identify, right? And at the end of it all, I'm looking for IBO, CBO, ACB, ABO. I'm looking for the strategies. Right. So when I'm doing idea generation for me, this is now I'm systemized. I'm just looking for the strategies, which is a daily direction, trend confirmation, a rejection, trend confirmation, right? A rejection on a higher time frame, trend change on a lower time frame. A rejection on a daily, trend change on a 1 hour. A rejection on a monthly, trend change on a daily. You know what I mean? A rejection on a 4 hour, trend change on a 10-minute. Based on your trading style, right? That's all I'm kind of looking for from an idea generation. I'm just looking for my strategy. So when I sit down on the computer for my watch list, right, my process is pretty simple. I sit down and make a scan of everything, all the potential opportunities that I see. I might have a yen grouping, I might have a dollar grouping, I might have a few miscellaneous, So my next step of idea generation is organizing into those groups. So that I know, I have a bunch of yen setups, let's put them into the yen group. Or I have a bunch of dollar setups, let's put them into the dollar group. And I have like 5 yens, $5, and maybe a couple euros. That's my idea generation. I've identified every single potential setup that fits into ABO, IBO, CBO, ACB, WTF. Some are great, some are okay, some are really bad, some are perfect, right? For idea generation for me is identify every single opportunity, is sit down at a specific time, identify every single opportunity, right? Organize them into groups. And then I move on to analysis, right? And this is now where I try to identify the top 20 to 40% of those setups. I might have 10 different ideas flagged. I might have 30 different ideas flagged. Right? Now my job from an analysis perspective is to identify which ones are the best. And this is now where you use your analysis skill. And you're looking at direction predictions, you're looking at trend analysis, you're utilizing your price action patterns, you're utilizing candlestick analysis, support and resistance levels, right? To identify the best opportunities. Right? So part of analysis is now you take that list, right? and identify your tops. And I like to say identify your top 20 to 40%. So if you have 10, you want to have 4 primary setups. 40%. You know what I mean? And you want to now just trade those 40%, ideally. Right? So again, that's kind of like, for me, I'm systemizing that way, right? Where I do this every single time. I sit down for idea generation. I scan my list, look for the strategies, put them on a list. Doesn't matter if they're good or shit. Put them on a list, then categorize that list by currencies, yen, dollar, maybe a couple euros, then move on to my analysis and actually identify the top 20 to 40% of setups, right? By doing good analysis, using support and resistance levels, trend analysis, candlestick analysis, Fibonacci, multi-time frame, all this stuff, right? And then we move on to execution. Oh, sorry, when I meant I was discretionary or secondary. So under idea generation analysis, that was a systemized way of doing it. A discretionary way of doing it would be, how you identify your top 20 to 40? The systemized way is doing that. And then if they pull back to the value area, enter on a trend change, move on right into execution. That's the systemized way. You've already done that system. You've already done your analysis. You've identified your top 20 or top 40 of setups from that day or that week or that month, right? You got it. So now you move on to the next step of execution as part of a system, right? So if any of those primary setups pull back to the value area and give me a trend change on my execution timeframes, I'm in. It's a system. I don't even question it. I'm in. A discretionary trader would question it. A discretionary trader would be like, yeah, this is the best setup for the day, but it is not the best trade. There are better trades out there, so I'm going to skip this day. I'm going to look for something better tomorrow. That's a discretionary decision. You've made your watch list. You've organized your watch list. You've identified your tops, but at the end of it all, you're like, yes, these are all right, but they're kind of fucking weird still for some reason, and they're not exactly what I look for, which I might be looking for like the perfect setup. You might have your specific criteria, and you're like, these are not it, so then you move on, right? I might see that as discretionary. You might see that as systematic because you're looking for something very specific, right? Well, if that's the case, you gotta maybe change your idea generation or analysis a little bit to make it systematic for you, right? Because to me, that's a little bit discretionary, right? Because I made my watch list, I've identified my tops pull back to the value area, gave me a trend change, I'm in. Versus I identified my tops, they pulled back to the value, gave a trend change in the value area where a systematic trader is automatically in. A discretionary trader questions that. Nothing wrong with that, right? At all, right? Because discretionary traders will also come across opportunities that a systematic trader will not come across. I will see an idea in the idea generation process where I'm like, yeah, that's a nice discretionary setup. It fits. You can do your trend analysis. You can do your multi-time frame analysis. It fits, right? But it's not an IBO. It's not a CBO. It's not an ACB. It's not the patterns that I trade all the time, right? As part of my system. So I'm out. I just don't do it, as an example. So you got to find your little flow, and it's okay to be a little bit discretionary, a little bit systemized. You don't have to be 100% discretionary. You don't have to be 100% systemized. And 80-20 is okay. That's fine. And will notice that will probably be like a nice balance in 80-20, 80% system, 20% discretionary, or 90% system, 10% discretion. You will find that that's a nice balance when it comes to any part of this system, right? So next we move on to execution. I kind of like already said that rule for me. Execution is simple. Pull back to the value area that I already identified, enter on a trend change in the value area, with one of my execution timeframes, right? Now, there's more to this. There's position sizing. Where do you want your stop loss? Where do you want your target? What's your maximum entry price? That's position sizing. Is it 2-to-1? Is it 3-to-1? Is it 4-to-1? You're going to learn about some customizations later, so you can customize execution a little bit, right? Base plan is 2-to-1 position sizing, right? Enter at 0.382, target 0.618 Fibonacci extension or S1R1 for 2-to-1 position sizing with an entry at 0.382 Fib retracement, stop loss somewhere around 0.618, and a target for 2-to-1 somewhere around 0.618 Fibonacci extension or R1 S1 or the EMA. Right? Very systemized, the same every single time, 2-to-1 position sizing, running in that way. Right? So execution, you can write your rules now. Where do you want your ideal entry? What's your ideal stop loss? What's your ideal target? What's your ideal position sizing every single time? And what's your execution rule? Enter on a trend change and the value area. What are your execution timeframes? Right? And then you move on to management. And under management, we got two categories: risk management, profit management. Under risk management, we got P1, P2, right? P1, removing partial risk. What's your rule for that? P2, removing full risk. What's your rule for that? Right? P3, locking in initial profit. What is your initial profit? And how do you lock it in? P4 is exit on a trend change in the profit area. What is your profit area? Which trend change? Any trend change? So what are your management timeframes? It's typically the same as your execution timeframes, right? So you draft your rules for risk management, profit management, P1, P2, P3, P4. I kind of gave some rules, some examples just now, right? But yeah, it's kind of what you do there. And then journaling. How do you journal? What's your process? What's your step? What's your workflow? Think of this trading plan as a workflow. It's literally do this step, then once you do that step, move on here. Once you do that step, move on to this one. Once you do this step, move on to this one. Once you do this step, move on to this one. It's literally what it is. It's a straight up workflow. It's a checklist. So you can build a one pager off of this, which is also simplified and it's a checklist. You could build two plans: long form, which has a lot of detail. I recommend doing this. Long form with a lot of detail. Short form as a checklist, that you can kind of look at it day to day until you get it. Right? So journaling, what's your process? What's your workflow? Right? What are you logging? Which metrics are you tracking? Right? Performance review, what kind of questions are you asking? What's your process? Right? Reset. When do you take your days off? At what points do you need to do a reset? When do you do a reset? Is it scheduled or is it when something occurs? Figure it out. Make sure you have a plan for doing a reset. And what does doing a reset include? What kind of reset? A mental reset? A technical reset? Did your trading plan get all fucked up and now you gotta go back to your original trading plan? Or was it a mental reset? Right? Or is it all together? To me, it's just all together. Like every weekend is a reset. Last week of a month is a reset. Last 2 weeks of a quarter are a reset. I have them scheduled in as no days, no trading, nothing, as an example. So those days are resets. For me, reset is like no chart time. Off the screen. I do more organization in my head. It's my reset. It's how I do it. And then repeat. So that's the trading plan. So at the end of it all, as I said, the main goal of the trading plan is to build your trading system, or is to look at the trading system and build your custom one. Just your document. Build your own document, right? Write your own rules. Could be the same as the ones I mentioned. Could be a little bit different. Under every single one of those heading, write a paragraph or a few sentences and maybe some points. structure it in whichever way you want to structure it, right? And you can have a lot of times, and I do recommend having a long form document and a proper trading plan. You could literally do 1 page for each section. Your trading plan could be like 12 pages. It probably should be, in its full package, right? You should have that much clarity, right? But then an interesting exercise is to condense those 12 pages into 1 pager, which is literally just a step process, a workflow, you know, one at a time. So you have kind of 2 trading plans. So that's it for now. Start that process, and in the next lesson, we're going to build a little bit more on top of it. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.